Hello everyone. So today I want us to talk about early intervention. Now I have written so much about early intervention. I advocate for early intervention. I am it's one of my biggest whys as to why I decided to be an autism mom coach, because I want a lot of parents to realize what the benefits. I do not want parents to miss out on the opportunities. Especially, I am talking to those of you with children within the ages of 2, 3, even 4 years old. There is so much you can do. Now, what is early intervention? Early intervention basically means, identifying issues with your child and seeking for support and starting to, work with your child as early as possible. It could be in a program. It could also be from home. And this is where a lot of people miss out on. They think or they assume that early intervention has to do with, just starting therapy early and, putting the child in centers early and have specialists work with your child or start interventions early. Yes, it is. But also early intervention could also mean starting from home, starting from you as a parent, starting from you as a caregiver to your child with developmental delays, or any kind of challenges. It can start from home. That is what a lot of people do not really realize. Now, why I am sharing this is that what prompted me to make this video is that I came across a video some days ago, and there was a child, a 3-year-old child. He was steaming intensively. Now, for those of you who do not know what steaming is basically some behaviors, repetitive behaviors that children on the autism spectrum, mostly children with neurodivergent children, do, to help, self-regulate their emotions and, among others. Now, this child was steaming intensively, rocking back and forth, and while rocking, he was hitting his head continuously on the chair. And now this situation was on a plane where there are other passengers behind, and the passengers obviously were not having it. And in this said video, the mom was, giving that attitude like, my child is autistic and you guys can do whatever you like, and she just let him go. Like, I felt there was some things wrong in this video. While we're advocating for inclusion, while we're advocating for for people to show us empathy, we should also remember that we should also be we should also model that behavior that we want from other people. We should model it back right to them. Now, you are advocating for inclusion, but you have the right to treat other people, or just make people feel uncomfortable just because your child is autistic. Now, autism, I've seen some I don't even know, I can go on and on about the people who make autism like as if autism is an excuse for everything. Like, oh, my child is autistic, he cannot do this. I've worked with clients who confess to me that, oh, because their child is autistic, they just assume that the child cannot do certain things, and in a matter of time they're able to see and identify. I've had a lot of parents, a lot of moms, reach out to me, work with me, and then they see, after giving those children the opportunity, challenging them to bring out something, and they thrive, they see their child being happy, and there's just so much, to be honest, that we can do. Now, let's not deviate into that. Now, let's go back to this scenario. All shades of wrong. First of all, your child is 3. Those are the best times. I sometimes, when I see 3-year-olds, when I see 2-year-olds, it takes me back to how it was so easy for me to work with my son when he was 3. I miss those periods. It was so easy. It was not like easy, but it was easy compared to what it is now. Like, I can get him to sit on my leg. I can get him to read read books, hold him to read books with me. I can get him to do certain things with me. I could easily lift him up. I could easily carry him around and do certain things. There was a little bit of control. Now that he's 10, I miss those things, but I am grateful for the journey. We are still on this journey, but I am always grateful for starting early. And this is why I am calling out to parents who are still waiting for that miracle, who are still, just sitting by and waiting, that are listening to people telling them that just give it time, your child will overgrow it, your child will do this, your child will. Please, 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 I am begging. This is coming from a place of like, I am literally begging, because before you realize it, you are dealing with, today your child is 3. He's not going to be 3 forever. By the time that child is 9 or 10, now tell me the intensity of that steaming, that behavior, how intense it's going to be. We saw a video the other day. I saw a video of, of a lady, an autistic girl, who didn't even do as much as this, and was, had to, thrown out of the plane for certain things. Which those are things that it's not like I'm saying that was good, but I'm just saying that such examples. There's also a video of an autistic child who was shot. It wasn't a child. I think it was a teen. It was some days ago I saw that video. He was shot in I think it was in New York for certain behaviors. Like, I am not saying those things are excuses, but I am just trying to use this to remind us that our children won't be children forever. They won't be children forever. And starting early with them to help them to manage their emotions, to help them to regulate their emotions as early as possible will go a long way. This is why it is very important. If you have a child within the early intervention age, please do not miss out the workshop that I will be having on the 19th of April 2025, which I'm going to be talking about speech and emotional regulation, and I'll be sharing practical strategies and some things that work for me, and also my expertise in this area, because this is my area of exercise, because with my son we went through so much, especially when it comes to emotional regulation. I admit I made a lot of mistakes earlier on, and that's because I did not understand some of these behaviors. When my son was, when he used to steam back then, we would try to stop him. We would try to do certain things because I didn't understand until I began to realize that, okay, this is what it does to him. And I started to help him to regulate his emotions. So when he's going through that emotions, when he's going through that phase of anxiety, which he does often, I'm able to do certain things, and I know certain things that works for him. So you can't say that because your child is autistic and he's steaming, you just allow him to steam however you like. I know a lot of people will not like this. I know some people will say, oh yes, yeah, my child is allowed to steam, this is how he is, this is who he is. You have the right to do anything, but this particular steaming, let's look at the also has some negative sides. At least that's from my own experience. My son does the same type of steaming. In fact, that is the most common steaming that we have till date. We were on the bus ride the other day. He exhibited this same steaming behavior, and all I had to do was just call his name or just touch him. Sometimes I just touch him and he just calms down a little bit. He will still go back, but I keep reassuring him that I'm here and you're safe. And you just let him to feel that, whatever you're feeling, there's somebody here with you. But not just leaving him out there to just, inconvenient people. I could go on and on about this issue. But what I'm trying to say is that you can start early with your child. You can start from you doing certain things. First, you need to observe your child. Then you can behave, you can now be able to, understand, okay, this is what happens when my child does this. This is why he's doing this, and help him to manage those emotions. Your child is 3 today, he won't be 3 forever. My son now, when he does that back and forth, when he does it intensively, sometimes I feel scared. Because you can see that you can see all his nerves. You can feel the stiffness of his body when he's steaming. He goes back and forth, and it's so hard. Sometimes I feel like he's going to hit, especially when he's on the couch. There's a soft part of the couch, and there's also the wooden part of the couch. Sometimes I feel like he's going to really hit the wooden part of the couch, and that also can be dangerous to your child. So it could be causing some disturbances to your child's brain. And when stimming also, we have to look at how safe that stimming behavior is. I can't have a child whose stimming behavior is banging his head on the wall, and I'll just stay and be watching the child, because that is definitely harmful to the child. So we need to understand the kind of stimming behaviors that we can allow with control, with a little bit of, regulation. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do it, but, just a little bit of control. Let's try to show empathy to other people too. Let's try not to be like so all about autism. This is not what autism is about. This is not what autism is about. Autism is about, if you are understanding your child, also helping other people to understand your child. In a situation like this, I'll explain to the people nicely and calmly, oh, my child is on the autism spectrum. And, you just explain in a calm way. If after explaining to them and they still go on and on, then you've tried. While you continue to manage, you've done your part. But we can't go rubbing autism on people's faces and then tomorrow we come and we say people are being mean to parents with children, with children, neurodivergent children. We come out with this narrative. Let's try to do more, especially for those of us who are autism moms, who are caregivers to children on the autism spectrum. I know that it can be really overwhelming. I know it can be tough, but really we can do better. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. How do you handle situations where your child is stimming publicly and it's becoming so intense? How do you handle such? I know a lot of people would love to hear, would love to learn from this, and I'm sharing this so that we can all learn from this. I'm not perfect. I am still on this journey. I'm not saying that my child is perfect, but to be honest, there's so much that we can do, that we can start to do with our children, especially from the early age. If I didn't start with my son at that time I started with him, I will be dealing with so much more right now, because he's growing older, he's growing smarter, he's growing stronger. And there are some things that would have been so much difficult for me to manage today. I am grateful for starting early. If there's anything you, as a parent with a child on autism spectrum, and you have a child within that early intervention age that you should listen to, please watch this video to the end and tell me, how are you managing your child in certain behaviors like this? Like I said, I'm not here to prove perfection. I'm just here to share my message of wisdom, and I hope that a lot of parents find this video useful, and I look forward to hearing from you all. To enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.